How to navigate ED 598. That's what I'm here to tell you. I am your learning facilitator, Dr. Renee Owen. In many ways, this course is designed to be analogous to the features of a learning organization, something we'll be learning about in the course. There is a lot of complexity. You'll be learning in teams. You'll be learning experientially by actually doing many activities and reflecting and writing about them. I think you will find as an asynchronous course, this is quite unique. That has a lot of advantages. However, it will be different from your other courses. There is a lot to keep track of, a lot of moving parts and pieces. Deadlines will come quickly each week. You could get overwhelmed. Therefore, I want to help you have an understanding of how this course is organized and what the expectations are. Here's what you should know. True to the name of the course, Learning in Organizations, you will be learning in an organization. You need to choose an organization as your learning organization for the course. There's actually a questionnaire before you start the course to fill out. It's in Moodle, where you describe your organization a little bit. And you don't have to use this organization for every single assignment, but it's the primary one you expect to use. Now, this can be a few different types of organizations. It could be a for-profit business, and you can have any position in that for-profit business. It could be anything from serving at a restaurant to being a CEO of a Fortune 500 organization. It could be a nonprofit organization or a governmental service, which you might work at, or you might be a volunteer at, or you might be on the board. It could be a school, and that could be either a K-12 school, or it could be Southern Oregon University, which all of you are a part of. So if you don't have another organization, SOU is a great organization to choose. Be prepared to engage in activities that engage other people at your organization. For instance, in week 1, you have to give a survey to at least one other person in your organization. In week 3, you'll do scenario planning with a small group of at least 2 others, and that could take a couple hours. So you need to coordinate this with people at your organization and ask them for a favor to learn along with you and set aside some time to do some of these things with you. All of these things are things that you can do remotely. Number 2. There are many, many small assignments in this course. That's partly what's unique about this course also. It might seem really confusing at first. Here are some of the types of activities and assignments that you'll be doing and how they're weighted in your grade. You'll be doing discussions and posts. That's 30% of your grade. You'll be doing some group communication work. We'll talk more about this in a moment, but essentially you will be meeting with a group of 2 or 3 other people in your class once a week, weeks 2 through 5. Synchronously, you'll be meeting and you'll be learning with that group and writing some reflections on that. You'll be keeping a personal journal in which you will record some personal observations and writing reflections that you turn in. You do about 7 of those throughout the course. One of them you can drop actually, and that is 15% of your grade. You have activities to do, and on most of those activities will result in you writing a short paper, and that is 30% of your grade. And then on top of that, there's our participation grade, and that's about 10%. And that's based on things that are not necessarily otherwise graded. For instance, the questionnaires that you need to fill out before class starts, your introduction to the class, those all count toward participation. And just the authenticity of how you participate in the class, if it seems like you really engage in discussions rather than just posting the minimum required, as an example. Now that's a lot of different segments to this class, and like I said, there's many, many small assignments. The workload is heavy at the beginning of this course, partly trying to figure it out. However, it's lighter at the end. In week 7, for instance, there are no new reading assignments, but here's the real advantage to organizing the course this way. There's no research paper or large project due at the end of this course. So you have a lot to do every week and a lot of different things, but nothing huge to turn in at the end. As long as you turn everything in on time, you're likely to earn an A in this course because all these small assignments accumulate. Most of them are easy to obtain full points on, and as they accumulate, there's no single assignment that could possibly make or break your grade as you go along. Number 3, what is it? Experience over mastery. This class is mainly about experiential learning and being open to new ideas. You don't have to perfect anything. I have a friend who compares this type of learning to like wine tasting. You're going to experience a whole bunch of different concepts and trying a whole bunch of different activities, but you aren't expected to become an expert in any of them. For many of the activities and writing assignments, you simply have to take a stab at it, or as the Brits say, have a go at it, without worrying about whether you're doing it right or what my expectations are exactly. That's why you have a lot of small assignments rather than a big one. We are really learning from experience in this class. Number 4. You are not alone. Your compassionate communication group meets on weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5. There is an entire strand of learning in this class around communication. And you can really only learn communication through practice. So you're going to read your nonviolent communication book, do some activities in there on your own, but then you're going to meet with your compassionate communication, which will be a group, which will be a triad or a quad. And you'll meet once a week for about an hour, maybe even an hour and a half on weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5. So on week 1, you need to contact your group members and arrange a synchronous time on Zoom that you can meet for each of those weeks. And then as an individual, what you're graded on is you actually will fill out a questionnaire each week on what your group did, what that experience was like, and what you learned. You should read ahead each week. You should know that the reading load in this class is a bit heavy. Here are our 3 main texts. Be sure to read chapters 1, 4, and 5 in the Senge text. That is our main text, the 5th discipline. If you read those before class starts, that would be really helpful if that's possible for you. And then the rest of the weeks, you'll have a chapter to read in Senge and at least one other reading assignment, usually 2 or 3 more, either from the chapters of these other books, Nonviolent Communication or Conversations Worth Having, or other articles or blogs to read. The readings will inform your activities and writings throughout the week that you do. Therefore, you really need to read your readings before each week starts. So pre-read each week, and you'll be in good shape to complete the activities and the writings. For most of your writings, you will have to reference or have a citation for something from the readings in order to earn full points. So here's a general workflow for your week that I would suggest. I recommend that before the week starts, you pre-read, you look ahead, and you pre-read all the assigned reading for the week. On Monday and Tuesday, watch my online screencast lecture for the week and watch any other online materials. Tuesday through Friday would be a good time to do the self-observations and journaling that you need to do in order to complete reflections. And that's also a good time each week, sometime in there for you to meet with your compassionate communication group. That's on weeks 2 through 5. And then on Thursday, that's when your discussion posts are due by 11 p.m. every Thursday. And then every Sunday is when everything else is due. Your discussion responses, your nonviolent or compassionate communication, those are the same thing. Group questionnaires, your reflections, which are called oral reflections, and your short papers. So the only things that are actually due are on Thursday, and then everything else is due on Sunday. It's just important that to prepare for these writings, you have to do all of these things ahead of time during the week. So to understand that better, let's take a tour of Moodle. Here we are at our ED 598 Learning and Organizations Moodle page. Welcome. Here's how it's organized. We have this general area. There's our general waving hello, where announcements will be posted. Anytime I make an announcement, it will also come to you as an email. Here's a compassionate communication workspace. So this is where you can easily contact your other team members for your compassionate communication group and arrange a time to meet and communicate as time goes on. Only each of you will be able to see that, and I'll be able to see it as well. Before class starts, as long as you're enrolled ahead of time, you will introduce yourself here. You will fill out a work environment questionnaire on your organization, and you'll fill out another questionnaire that's just for you and me to help me understand who you are a little bit more as a learner and as a person. And here's just a note that for this class, you want to start a personal journal that you'll use each week. This isn't actually anything to turn in. Here's the syllabus. Definitely want to read that. And then under course essentials, there's a video about me, but here's the actual formal information about me if you click here or click there. So here's week 1, but I'm going to go to week 3 because week 3 is one week that every type of assignment is due. So you can see all these different types of assignments. Now, I mentioned that this course has a lot of moving parts and pieces, and one way to help you keep track is I am planning on changing all of these things so as you do them, you can manually check them off, which will help you keep track of what you've actually done and what you have not. So here's how the weeks are generally organized. There's an overview. You open that and you'll see a grid showing all the different things to do during the week. So that will be very helpful. There's always a screencast lecture. You want to watch that at the beginning of the week that I do. And sometimes there's another screencast. In this case, there's a screencast on how to do scenario planning. Then I list the required readings and also other things to watch online. So in this case, you've got one chapter, which is typical from your Cengage text, and you have one chapter from Nonviolent Communication. You have this online blog article, and you have a 6-minute video and transformational learning to watch. Then under the complete section, you're going to meet with your compassionate communication group and complete a worksheet with them. Here's a resource to use for that. And then what you actually turn in is this individual worksheet after you've met with your group. This week you have an exercise to do, and you'll record that in your personal journal. It's called the left-hand column exercise. Usually these are called self-observations. In this case, you're going to be observing when you talk with people what's actually going on in your head. And then you'll write a reflection on that here and turn that in. And this type of reflection is called an ORID reflection. And I'll just quickly point out that the first ORID reflection that you write is in week 2. And in week 2, there's a screencast on how to write an ORID reflection. Let's go back to week 3. This week, you also have a short paper to do. This always says activity and short paper because generally your short papers are about an activity that you do. So the activity this week is some scenario planning that you'll be doing. You'll meet with 2 or 3, at least one other person at your organization, and you'll do the scenario planning and then you'll write a reflection on it. And then you have your discussion posts. That's the last thing listed every week. Those are due every Thursday evening consistently. All of these other things are always due on a Sunday, and your discussion responses are due on Sunday. And then every once in a while there's an other here. Usually it's to help you prepare for the next week. So in week 4, you need to meet with one coworker and someone who you collaborate with and actually work with, and you're going to do an interview called an appreciative inquiry interview with them. So you want to arrange that and have that all set for week 4. Because if you have that arranged for Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday in week 4, that'll give you time to actually write the paper. So that's important each week that you have an activity, that you do the activities early in the week. And all the weeks are arranged that way. Some weeks you don't have a short paper. You almost always have a reflection. And you only have nonviolent compassionate communication group work on weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5. Otherwise, they're pretty similar. And you'll get used to the flow. I just thought this would help. One thing to note, that's unusual is in week 6, there's a whole section of the class that's optional for extra credit. So here, green, it says, extra credit section on the topic of sociocracy. This is on a new organizational learning structure, and it's a great tool. And there's a couple of things to read and videos, mostly to watch, to understand how sociocracy works. And then a little activity and a short paper to write if you are interested in that. There is no big term paper, research paper, or huge project done. You just keep doing the small things all week long and you'll be fine. You're going to do great in this course. There's your tour of ED 598, Learning in Organizations. I look forward to learning along with you in this course. I think you'll find me a very open instructor. I'm certainly open to your feedback. Please call me or contact me with any questions you have. I really like it when people call. Sometimes it is just so much easier to have a phone conversation. Email is, of course, great. I can get back to you as fast as I can, and sometimes it makes sense to set up a Zoom conversation in a pinch. I hope to have many interesting dialogues with you as we explore learning in organizations.